Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dawg podcast. I'm your host, Johnny FIORICA, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department after serving 30 years. Sitting alongside me today, as usual, my trusted co-host, 22-plus year retired detective, also with the Rochester, New York Police Department, David SIMPSON. David, welcome, brother.
What up, Doe?
Folks, if you want to get an idea of what we did and what's in our bios, you could check out our website at thecrimedawgpodcast.com and get a better understanding of what we did over the course of our careers. And while you're there, check out our cool merch store. You can also check out our bios on our YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble page. David, we got a hot one today, brother. We got a hot one. I call it a hot one because this is kind of very new. Something happened this morning that you brought to my attention and you brought to our super producer, Danny Agnew's attention.
Yes, I was scanning the twits as I drank my coffee this morning and came across a tweet concerning a political race going out in Ontario County. So that's how we kind of got on this.
Yeah, it seemed as though someone had fed information to some people on social media to slander current DA, Jim Ritts. We had Jim on the pod regarding the Sam Nordquist transgender murder trial, which is still going on. And we also know a bunch of attorneys that have transferred to the Ontario County District Attorney's Office because we worked with them at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. So anyways, you brought it to my attention. You wanted to talk about it. I thought it was a good idea. And after you and I both looked into it a little bit further and started making some inquiries, we thought, man, we got to have Jim on. And we wanted to offer our platform, our podcast, because as our fans know, we're no fan of Rochester media. And we wanted to give Jim an opportunity to have a long form to get everything out instead of sound bites and clips and whatever it does to sell their channel. And you were in agreement with that, David.
100%. And I guess my interest in this was these type of things we're going to talk about today are why good people don't go into politics.
Yeah.
And it, as someone who's had their name mentioned possibly to run for office, different offices locally, I would never do it. And this is one of the perfect examples of why I would never do it, because of this dirty backdoor, mudslinging, I call it gossipy little girl stuff. So
yeah,
I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about it. And without further ado, folks, we welcome Jim Ritts to the Crime Dawg podcast. Jim, welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, guys. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Listen, Jim, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, and it's almost somewhat embarrassing to have to address a topic like this. Not embarrassing for you, not embarrassing for us, but the people that have been so shallow and catty to have brought things to certain people in the media's attention relative to what's going on. So let's just jump right to it and hit it out of the park right off the bat. At the end of the day, what we have is an investigation that was conducted by the HR department in Ontario County regarding what you guys refer to as Fall Fest. Fall Fest, it's our understanding, is an annual party that you guys have every year. And you call it Fall Fest because it's somewhat around that same time every year. The party in question was I believe it was on November 4th or November 5th, election day of 2024, that Fall Fest that is in question. Could you explain to our audience what seems to be the main bones of contention here?
Sure. Essentially, Fall Fest is something that's been going on for well over a decade. It predated me. And the idea is it's a team building opportunity. And so we get together and we have a chili cook-off. The way our office is set up, we don't have a conference room. Our space is like terribly limited. And so we got permission to use one of the courtrooms in the courthouse. And we essentially had a chili cook-off. We also had a competition between the north side of our office and the south side as it related to decorations like for Halloween. So just some fun stuff. Things, afterwards, everybody's like, thank you, it brought us together. And so we had that. There was alcohol served on our floor. We were really never asked about that piece. And then we went down to the courtroom to have the chili cook-off and an office meeting and just sort of celebrate what we do.
So basically, in sum and substance, Fall Fest is an esprit de corps. It's an office team building kind of a day that many offices, both in the private sector and in the public sector have. I know David and I have been part of many of these get-togethers as a form to bring people together after a hard work day, work week, or work months. And so this is something that, it's my understanding, started with the former DA, Mr. Tantillo. It's been going on for what, well over a decade?
Yeah, I would guess around 15 years. It started when we got separated as an office. Half of us were at 74 Ontario, half of us were at the courthouse, and we just started doing this, so it brought us together.
Okay.
And we've continued to do that. And you know, you talk about after a tough week, after a tough day. For us, I mean, every day is a tough day. The work that we do is remarkably stressful. We see things that most people can't contemplate and wouldn't be able to handle. And so when we're together and we're able to stand up for one another, support one another, and celebrate one another. And that's what this is.
Yeah, and decompress. That's what we call it, a little decompression session. There's nothing wrong with that, a little decompression session. So, Jim, just to clarify, so it seems after the research that David and I had done prior to you coming on the podcast, it seems, if you can clarify, that the main bone of contention here is people are saying that you were less than truthful about the alcohol part. Can you clarify what that bone of contention is and what your response to those allegations are?
I'll start with my response. I was honest. I'm always honest. I tell the truth. That's who I am. So what had happened is I was asked, did we serve alcohol in the courtroom? And the answer is unequivocally no. Now, I didn't pat people down. I didn't check their glasses. But, we had solo cups to drink soda out of. And apparently two people may have snuck alcohol down. They didn't show the respect for the courtroom that I expect them to have, and that's disappointing to me. But at no point was I taught, did anybody ask about alcohol on the fourth floor where our offices are? We were asked, did we serve in the courtroom? We did not. We did not bring alcohol down. We did not have alcohol in the where we did the chili cook-off. Just two people apparently brought alcohol downstairs. And again, I wasn't breathalyzing people and I wasn't checking cups.
Yeah, and you were saying to us prior to coming on, we had a little brief discussion, and those two people are no longer with your office, but it's not a direct result of what happened during this event.
No, correct. Neither one of them worked for me, but that had nothing to do with this investigation or certainly with Fall Fest.
Gotcha. David, you know what? I'm going to have a conversation with my co-host for a second. It's embarrassing that...
It's so embarrassing.
It really is, man. It's so embarrassing that we have to question a highly respected public figure in Ontario County, in our community, about something which you and I both know. And we'll say allegedly, because we don't know for sure. We're not 100%. But David, right now, and Jim, we're going to talk amongst ourselves for a second. But David, come on. I mean, he's running for DA in the fall. Now this is the spring. Now, do you have to be a real life police detective like you and I with our combined work experience of almost 55 years to draw the conclusion that either A, it's coming from a quote unquote anonymous source of a camp of someone that may or may not be running against him, or somebody that is supporting that candidate? I mean, we're not saying it for sure, so pump your brakes. We're not saying it for sure. However, David, would it not lead a logical person to deduce someone that is supporting the other side, or maybe even part of the other party, possibly could have had something to do with this?
Right, but I believe that. Well, let me say this. I know I've learned who the other person that's running is, and I've never heard of them. And I've been in law enforcement for, better part of 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that already tells me all I need to know about the person that's running against the DA, the incumbent. So, it even more bolsters the thought or belief that the other side is running a hit campaign against the incumbent DA, because if two guys with 50 plus years in law enforcement don't even know who this other guy is, clearly they haven't been putting down big capers over the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would agree with you. It's clearly a hit piece, and And it's everything that's wrong with politics and why people don't run for politics, want to be anywhere near it. It's nonsense.
Right. And just as a point of clarification for those people that are listening to this, that are in that other person's camp, again, as a point of clarification, let me explain. We are not accusing that person, his camp, or his party. We're saying it is somebody that is part of it, right? We're saying it's somebody that is part of his camp, we're not accusing someone specifically, I guess is my point.
Well, right. But I will also say this, and I'm going to ask the DA this. Well, I'm going to ask right now. Jim, has anyone from the other side denied any involvement with any of this stuff?
No, not in any respect. They've neither confirmed nor denied any involvement. But as you were saying, as it relates to politics, and we've talked about this before. You have two choices here. You can step up and raise up to the level of what we do in my office, or you can try to bring me down. And if you're trying to bring me down, you're already below me. And that's sort of the point with the politics. If you can't step up and say, this is why I'm the guy, this is just typical, political chicanery. And it's what we deal with. And you're right. I'm a prosecutor through and through to my core. I'm not a politician. This isn't how I operate. But this is what I get to respond to. And fortunately, the guys like you give me an opportunity. What I'd really like to talk about is what tomorrow is for us. And I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you got a lot of busy things on your plate. We interviewed you, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, the Sam Northquist murder, and that's a big thing that got national attention all over the country. It's just a shame that issues like this get brought to the attention. And I'll tell you right now, this holier than thou attitude in 2025, probably since 2020, it's been very arrogant. And the thing is, it's like, oh, you need to have this demeanor. You can't do this. You couldn't do this in the past. Anybody that puts parameters on anybody, I don't care what office you're running for, or even your own personal life, if you think that you haven't done in your past that is shady or borders on, oh, well, I might have done something. You're the one, when you're accusing somebody of doing something, you've done it yourself. I guess the long way of saying it.
Nobody's squeaky clean.
Nobody's squeaky clean. Everyone has in their closet. Everyone has stuff that they've done in their lives that maybe we're not too proud of 20 years later, 25 years later. The bottom line is, like you said, Jim, put your resume up. Put your resume up against mine. Let's go for it. Don't go after some esprit de corps party that we've had, that we did in our office to build a rapport. So anyways, Jim, what do you got going? You said you got something else going?
So certainly this is Crime Victims' Rights Week. And tomorrow we're having a celebration as it relates to that. It gives us an opportunity certainly to talk about the work that we do every day, right? The hard work that we do every day. This year it's like kinship, and talking about how we're all part of advocacy, right? How we're going to take care of our victims. And we get to sit down and celebrate that. We've got folks coming to speak for us. We're going to recognize some amazing people in the community who've done great things. It's that opportunity. It's again, one of those things we get to celebrate the work we do every day. And for us to be able to do that tomorrow with other members of our community, the chair of our board of supervisors is going to be there. Our sheriff is going to be there. I'll be there. And it's just going to be an amazing day. And if for anybody who really wants to know, Juno, also our facility dog, will also be there. So she's really the draw when it comes time. But again, those are the things that we get to do every day. And we're blessed to do that. We really are.
Yeah. Well, Jim, we can't thank you enough for coming on, explaining your side. We know that you're super busy. And like I said, it's embarrassing, not for you, not for us, but it should be embarrassing for people that are making these allegations. It's just literally high school all over again. It's pretty sad, but thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule for us.
I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. Like I said, when we started, I have nothing to apologize for or defend. I do what I need to do for my team, and to be able to express this in a forum that I know is going to be, fair is means a lot to all of us.
No problem at all. You're always welcome at the Crime Dawg podcast, my friend.
Appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for stopping by. David, I got to be honest with you. It's just unbelievable that we have to have a podcast about it. And I didn't want to get into it when Jim was still with us, but you and I have been involved in so many high-profile investigations, so many investigations that were super violent. I've always said on podcasts and during our live show, what my eyes have seen and my ears have heard over the course of my 30-year career, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. You agree with me. And at the end of the day, we have to have an outlet. We have to have a way to decompress. We have to have a way to say, you know what, man, let's put all this behind me. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at a bar with alcohol. It doesn't necessarily have to be where, we're consuming copious amounts of alcohol. It could be anything. It could be a 5K, it could be a 10K, it could be whatever it is that floats your boat to get that monkey off your back, you know what I mean? And move forward as a team,
The thing is, the average person doesn't understand what is going on in these type of jobs, whether you be, the prosecutors, whether you be a homicide detective, whether you be a fireman. There is some release that needs to happen. And I'm not talking about going out and getting trash drunk and all this stuff. But what I am talking about is, just like you are, there has to be a time to decompress. And, there's nothing wrong within the in the parking lot or at the office, at the end of the shift, end of the day, cracking a couple beers, being responsible, breaking it down, venting a little bit about what you've seen and heard.
Right.
And no, is it like an elementary school teacher might do at the office? No. But guess what? I didn't sign up to be an elementary school teacher, okay? It's the old saying, you want me on that wall, but you don't want to know what I have to do and have to go through when I'm on that wall. And, it just really aggravates me that good people that are in the arena have to deflect and defend nonsense.
Yeah, this is total nonsense. Like you say, everyone loves a taste of sausage. Nobody wants to see how it's made. And you know what's hysterical? And I'm going to get nerdy for a second. I mean, there's a lot of things that cops do in our profession. They're in Monday morning bowling leagues. They're in Sunday morning softball leagues. We have paintball competitions against other sections. This is some of the things that we've done. We've done kickball tournaments, softball tournaments. These are all the things that we've done. And by the way, in addition to drinking, I'm not going to say that we're saints, but there's so many things that cops do with one another. And there's so many events that they do with one another to decompress. So you want to judge. Go ahead, Cupcake. Judge us all you want. We don't care. I don't care. David don't care. At the end of the day, judge us all you want. If you really had a sack and you really wanted a voice, come on the podcast. Come on the live show. Call into the live show. Come on to the podcast. Let's see if you grew a set from listening to this. If you did, come on. We know that there's going to be people on the Twits and on the Twitter and social media that might talk trash to us, David. But every single time, and I mean this, and I'm going to be arrogant for 3 seconds. Every single time that we challenge somebody, said, hey, you know what? You got a great point. Why don't you come on the podcast? Why don't you come on a live show? Nobody has ever taken us up on that.
No one wants to call the radio show.
Yeah, nobody wants to call the radio show. Nobody wants to come on the podcast. We'll give you a platform. If you have a difference of opinion of what we said today or ever, give us a call, man. Let's hash it out.
Right. And again, we're going to clarify the point. We're not accusing any one individual of doing this.
Right.
Again, we certainly, the evidence, circumstantial evidence certainly steers in a direction.
Right.
But I would also encourage, if you're not a part of this and you denounce this and you don't believe this is how it should go, and you're involved at all in the political landscape in Ontario County, you should probably make that crystal clear.
Right. Get out in front of it. Go on social media.
It's not a badge you want to wear. Don't be proud of that badge.
Right. Don't be proud of that badge. You're 100% right. Folks, listen, if you liked this episode, please click like and subscribe on all our platforms. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble. If you can't get enough of David and I, you can check us out on our weekly radio show on iHeartRadio. If you're on local stations, you can move that dial old school to Wham 1180. That is noon to 1 every Saturday. Folks, listen, thank you for listening to the Crime Dawg podcast. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it, who cares?